So when we think of quality firearms, there's one in particular that comes to our mind, and that is the Ruger. Now, in 1949, Ruger started manufacturing firearms, and from that moment on through 2004, Ruger had produced over 20 million firearms. Then in 2008 through 2011, Ruger was ranked the top manufacturer in firearms. Then in 2009 through 2012, Ruger had the top sales in handguns. Now, I would like to share with you today something that I noticed with a Ruger Vaquero that I took home, and I noticed a flaw. And if you're going to be buying one of these handguns in the near future, this is something you'll want to stay tuned for so you can keep an eye out for it. Also, if you already have a Ruger Vaquero, you might discover this later on down the road. I'm River Roubaix, and welcome to my gun kingdom. Okay, so before we shoot the Ruger Vaquero, let's talk a little bit about one of the flaws that I noticed with the gun after taking it home and taking it apart. And what I did was I took the cylinder out, and I took out the yellow insert that they put in here, and it's a circular insert. And this is a brand new gun. This isn't the gun that I returned. But the first gun that I had bought, the first Vaquero I bought, came with that yellow insert. Now, when I went to the gun shop to pick up this other gun, the second Vaquero that I bought, the yellow insert wasn't in here. But when I bought the first one, the yellow insert was in there. And I didn't take it out. I rotated the cylinder with the yellow insert in there, and also worked it through the action a couple times, and it seemed fine to me. So I took it home, and I took it apart, and I took the yellow insert out, of course, and cleaned it all up, and put it back together. And one thing I noticed when I went to work it through the action was it wouldn't pull back. It would you couldn't pull the hammer back on it. And I go, well, that's kind of strange, and I opened the loading gate up and rotated the cylinder, and it rotated fine. Put it back together, and I tried to pull back on it again, and it wouldn't pull back on the hammer. So I thought, well, that's a little strange. So I thought, I'll just take it apart again and make sure I put it back together again right. So I did that. I heard a clicking noise, different if I held the gun up, and I don't know if you can hear that. And it's different to when you tilt it down. So let's listen again. Point it up. And then point it down. So there might be some tolerances that are not quite perfect with this gun. Now, the one that I sent back or took back, it was a lot worse than this. The noise when you rotated the cylinder. So before I took it back, I got out my Ruger Blackhawk. Now these Vaqueros, they started making them in 1993, and they built them on the Super Blackhawk frame. And then in 2005, they put them on a smaller frame to match the Colt single-action Army. And a lot of guys and gals use this gun for cowboy shoots. So, but I took out my Ruger Super Blackhawk, and I go, well, let's listen to this cylinder rotate. So, okay, now listen to this one here, pointed up, and then pointed down. It sounds the same. And it's smooth as butter. I bought this. This is the 1975 Ruger Super Blackhawk, and I bought it in 1975 when I turned 18 years old. Had it ever since, and I love this gun. I've shot some deer with this gun at close range, and it's been a good gun and reliable gun, and I think this one is too. It's just not as smooth as the Super Blackhawk, but nevertheless, it's still a nice firearm. But so anyway, what I did was, since I had a 10-day window to return that first Ruger Vaquero that I bought, I took it back, and one of the salesmen came out, and I told him what it was doing, and I said, you know what? I said, I can't get this hammer to pull back on this sometimes. And, you know, if I turn it sideways, you couldn't turn it back. Upside down, I couldn't pull it back. And then if I turned it back upright, it would pull back. But if I laid it on its side, I couldn't pull it back. Upside down, couldn't pull it back. Now, if you take this Ruger Super Blackhawk, it doesn't matter which way you hold the gun. You can pull it back sideways, upside down. Okay. So anyway, he stood there and he said, well, you know, you can return this to the manufacturer and have them repair it. And I said, well, I just bought it yesterday. I said, I would really like to order a new one, you know, exchange it for another new Vaquero. And he said, well, it's going to take a couple weeks. I said, well, that's fine. I'd rather do that than, you know, it could take a couple months to get it back from the manufacturer if I send this one back. And so he brought out the manager, and the manager also worked it through the action and pulled the hammer back, and it wouldn't pull back for him sometimes, and sometimes it would. And he says, yeah, definitely. He says, well, it could just be because it's a new gun and it has been broken in, but that doesn't make any sense at all to me. So I said, you know, I'd really like to exchange it for another one. So he said, okay. And so anyway, it took 2 weeks, and I got this one back. And like I said, it didn't come with a yellow insert in the cylinder here. And so I took it home, cleaned it up, and it seems to be working fine now. Now, what I did do was I reported to the company, Ruger, the serial number of the gun that was malfunctioning. So they knew that particular serial number and was having an issue. Now, I don't know whatever became of that gun that I returned. I don't know if the shop sent it back or what they did with it. But if you're going to buy one, you know, make sure when you go into the gun shop that you ask the salesman to take it apart and take that yellow insert out that's protecting the hammer from falling onto the cylinder. But have them take that out and work it through the action sideways, upside down. It doesn't matter which way this gun is laying. It should always pull back. You know, just like the Super Blackhawk here. And you might want to take it up and open the loading gate, make sure that it's empty, and then, you know, turn the cylinder and listen to it. And if it's really loud, or if there's a big difference between pointing up and pointing down, then I wouldn't buy that gun. Now, I did read on the internet, one guy had shot 150 rounds through it, and he had the same problem happen. It started to the point where he couldn't pull the hammer back anymore after firing 150 rounds through it. So that's something else. If you already have a Vaquero, kind of keep an eye out for that too. But I have faith in Ruger. Like I said, I bought this gun back in 1975, the Ruger Super Blackhawk, and I've never had an issue with it. And now, I don't know if they have a quality control issue at the time they were building the Vaquero, and I hope that by me reporting that serial number that I had a problem with, that they fixed the problem, and there won't be anything like that in the future with these Vaqueros. But anyway, let's go ahead, and I brought some ammunition here. This shoots the 45. This is 230 grain, and it's 950 feet per second. So I got a target set up here. It's probably about 20 yards, and let's go ahead and shoot it on the bag, and then we'll shoot it offhand. Now, I noticed one thing about this already is once I put the ammunition in here, I'm having a hard time turning the cylinder. But you have to point the gun down a little bit. If you tilt it up like this, well, it didn't do it that time, but it was doing it there. Now, I'm not having a problem now, but at the start, for some reason, I wasn't able to rotate it to get the next round in there. All right, so we're all set to go here. And let's shoot at the top target. Shooting a little low. That one was a little better. So I'm going to point directly at the center bullseye. Squeeze the trigger. There we go. There's one in the bullseye. I was aiming right at the top of the red bullseye. See, right when I put the first one in, you can't turn the cylinder. There it turned. It seems to grab the top part here, and so it's, there we go. Okay, let's shoot at that bottom target. All right. At the bottom target, low and to the left. Still about 4 inches low. And I'm aiming right at the top of the bullseye on that bottom target. See that very first round I put in there kind of hangs up. And if I tilt the muzzle towards the ground, then it'll rotate. Once I get the first 2 in, it seems to rotate a little easier. And with all 6 in there, it rotates fine. Might be just a little bit tight. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's aim at the top target. Shooting a little bit low. That one came close. I would say it's probably about, the last one I shot was probably about, ½ inch lower than the bullseye. All right. So when I first started shooting with one hand, I was shooting, the first one I shot was low and slightly to the left. Then the second one was low and slightly to the right. Now I'm aiming right at the top of the orange bullseye. So I've got 2 more shells here, so let's go ahead and let's put the gun on the bag and shoot the last 2. And let's use the bottom target for the last 2. Okay, bottom target. Okay, both of them were low, about 4 or 5 inches off the bullseye. Now, on the Ruger Vaquero, you can't adjust the sights on it, so they are what they are. You know, you saw some of the issues I had when loading the Ruger Vaquero, and once I put the very first round in the cylinder, I wasn't able to turn it unless I turned the gun down a little bit and actually pulled on the cylinder towards the muzzle, and then it would rotate, and I made sure it was all the way in. That wasn't the issue. After I loaded at least 3, it seemed to turn a little easier. But I don't think it should hang up like that. If you're having that same issue, you know, make sure that you leave it in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts on the Ruger Vaquero. I'd really appreciate it. Now, I didn't have any problems pulling the hammer back on the Vaquero at all. Now, I've only shot 20 rounds through it, so, and you know, if it happens in the future, then I'd have to send the gun back. I wouldn't let these small issues keep me from buying a Ruger Vaquero. I still think they're quality guns, and something you can take out and to the range and have fun. And if you do those cowboy action shoots, it'd be perfect for that. So, but anyway, hit that like button if I helped you out with this video, and make sure you subscribe, because there's more content coming up in the future. And let me know in the comment section what you thought of the video, or if you have any other comments. If you have a Ruger Vaquero and you've had some of the issues that we ran across today, let everybody know that. And it's good that everybody, you know, puts a comment down there and shares their information, and it helps everybody out. But anyway, I really appreciate this this time with you, and appreciate you watching. And if you're already a subscriber, I thank you for that, and all my future subscribers, thank you too. But anyway, thank you. Today.
Yeah, those look like nice guns.
Yeah, this is a 1975.
So really, looks like it's just brand new.
Yeah, I bought that when I turned 18 years old. You believe that?
Well, that wasn't back in '75 then.
Huh?
Wasn't that just a couple of years ago?
Yeah.